Hello, you're watching News Mongolian MNB World. I'm your host, Ayondel Basenho. Our top stories: Mongolia to export 1.21 million tons of copper ore and 36.7 million tons of coal in 2022. Permanent representative of Mongolia presented his letter of credence to the executive secretary of the CTBCO. For other news, stay tuned. Our first story is about mining industry news. Mongolia expects to export 1.21 million tons of copper ore and 36.7 million tons of coal in 2022.
As for gold, like last year, it's planned to transfer about 20 tons of gold to the Bank of Mongolia. According to the Ministry of Finance, the attention was drawn to the export of coal. This is due to the fact that Mongolia was unable to use the main export ports to their full capacity. Therefore, it's planned to increase coal exports to 2019 levels. Officials say the plan is to maximize the potential of coal exports since the Transport Tribunal was established in Kashon-Sukhat border port and was commissioned last week.
We aim to reach the maximal level we reached back in 2019 with 36 million tons. It is necessary to strive for this as a reality. Although we haven't managed to export as much coal as we had planned this year, our projected export earnings for this year are still looking relatively good, given the high amount of copper ore exported and the improved prices for that. In other words, we are missing out on a year that could have given us more opportunities if we could have taken full advantage of our export potential.
Prices for gold, copper, coal, and iron ore have risen steadily this year, stimulating an export-oriented economy, according to the National Statistical Office. However, the finance minister said that when drawing up the state budget for next year, he didn't factor in a rise in prices.
Assuming the mining supercycle has started, it usually lasts from 2 to 5 years. In 2 years, we have the opportunity to continue price increases until June 2022. If the internal pandemic situation is not good, we will risk exporting only 20 million tons this year. The good news is that the railway will be operational by the end of 2022. I don't think this will affect exports by the end of this year either.
The most recent mining supercycle occurred in 2010 to 2011 when demand from the industrial sector of our southern neighbor increased greatly. During that time, Mongolia's economy has grown. This revival is unique in that our country is moving forward in terms of human resources and technology. Therefore, economists recommend to attract investments in the exploration sector, improve logistics, and put the railway into operation without any further delay.
Our next story is about a young girl who managed to turn her handicraft hobby into a successful retail business. We have details in the following report.
This is Nargima. She is a senior student who creates accessories with unique designs in her spare time. She mainly uses copper to create various handicrafts, such as rings, necklaces, brooches, and bookmarks. She says she's created 2,000 accessories with unique designs that have been sold to customers.
When I see something nice and unique, I have this immediate feeling of wanting to create something similar with my own hands. It's like a childish curiosity. Of course, initially I wasn't thinking about turning it into a profitable business. The more you create, the more you learn from your mistakes. It is the next step toward taking your art to another level.
Nargima also creates accessories from recycled paper and felt.
I like creating absolutely new, unique designs. It's interesting to learn something you don't know how to do. I like creating avant-garde things rather than ordinary, normal designs. My future goal is to open my studio where I can teach others how to create handicrafts.
Nargima says that she gets inspiration from nature. She currently sells her products through her social media platforms.
Parents cannot completely control their children to get the information they need from the internet. Therefore, experts warn that parents need to pay special attention to controlling them and communicating with their children.
Teenagers first start playing electronic games just to have some fun. Without realizing, they have become addicted to playing games in cyberspace. Moreover, some children reported that their families became addicted as well. They showed signs of fatigue, irritability, forgetfulness, and even back pain.
I first played a computer game when I was in 7th grade. I played every day before I went to class. I was addicted for a while. Now I don't play at all. It is fun to play some electronic games. Because career choice is important, I think it's more rewarding to be trained in my chosen profession than to play some computer game at this age. It's wrong to be addicted to playing computer games for a long time. I play occasionally when I have some free time.
For instance, in the last 5 years, more than 200 children have been diagnosed with cyber addiction at the National Center for Mental Health. 57 children were hospitalized in 2018. 153 were in 2019, and 42 children were treated at the hospital in 2020. It has become so serious that doctors recommend that parents improve their supervision over their children.
Parents try to make their children happy. They believe that their children should have the same as anybody else, and they provide for all their needs and ignore their psychological needs. Assuming that a child is addicted to a screen or a cell phone in some way, there are actually many psychological problems behind it. Rather than accepting that the child is addicted, it's important to find out if there is an underlying psychological problem.
Mongolia has the highest number of active members using the internet in this part of Asia. In other words, control of the use of internet is weak. On the other hand, the involvement of parents is important, and the lack of control over whether the child is studying or getting the information he or she needs from the internet can lead to addiction to electronic games.
There are more than 100 licensed PC gaming centers in the capital city. The operation of about 80 unlicensed centers has been stopped since the beginning of the year. Researchers advise parents to talk with their children and to stay close to them to help them spend their time more productively.
Thank you for staying with us on MNB World. Now let's take a look at Mongolia's current affairs.
The new permanent representative of Mongolia, His Excellency Mr. Tengek Michotorch, presented his letter of credence to Mr. Robert Floyd, Executive Secretary of the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization, on 20th of December. After presentation of credentials, Permanent Representative Tengek exchanged views with Executive Secretary Robert Floyd on Mongolia-CTBCO relations and cooperation. Permanent Representative Tengek noted Mongolia's continuous support to international community's joint efforts to bring the CTBT into force and introduced Mongolia's efforts and initiatives to ensure security in Northeast Asia. His Excellency Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Mongolia to the Czech Republic, Temten Gansuk, presented his letter of credence to President of Czech Republic, Mr. Miloš Zeman, on December 20th. While conveying the greetings of President of Mongolia, Mr. Huris Sukhukhna, the ambassador wished Mr. President good health and expressed his willingness to further strengthen and develop friendly relations and cooperation between Mongolia and the Czech Republic. President Miloš Zeman, recalling his visit to Mongolia and its beauty, wished the ambassador success in his future endeavors.
Now let's check the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. And here's the weather forecast for major cities around the world. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for staying with us on News Mongolia. See you next week with more stories and updates. Have a great weekend. Goodbye.